On tonight's episode of Obscured Reality, we look into the Chinese spy balloon. What exactly is it? Is it something we need to be worried about? What about these other three objects that have been spotted and shot down? Let's dive in and check it out. Sit down, sit back, relax, and join us on our journey through Obscured Reality.
Welcome to another episode of Obscured Reality. Join your hosts, Mark, Mike, and Stephanie, as they take you through a journey of the extraordinary, bizarre, and often frightening world of the unknown. Explore topics of the paranormal, UFOs, alien abduction, lost civilizations, mythical monsters, and other unexplained mysteries. Come along with us as we transcend into another dimension of obscured reality.
Welcome back to Obscured Reality. I'm your host, Mark. Joining me tonight, your co-host, Mike.
Hello, everybody.
And your other co-host, Stephanie.
Hello.
Can you tell what I'm wearing, Mike? You have no clue? Do you know what these are? These are my eyes.
Okay.
Do you know what else they are? Chinese spy balloon.
Okay.
This, you know what this is. Come on, man.
You're going to have to enlighten me.
I'll let Stephanie enlighten you. If she knows. She might be able to say it more politically correct.
I believe that is a
I'm taking it off.
COVID mask. I'm not sure.
I see a lot of people
Yeah.
around in the last 20 years wearing things of certain cultures, and it's just because it's a Chinese spy balloon. So I do see a lot of that nationality wearing these around. Probably a smart idea because they're sick a lot less than Americans are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the sunshades, the visors. Come on, Mike.
Okay.
I'll hang that up somewhere in the studio.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what it was that you were...
Spy balloon. It's not a good picture. Should have
Yeah.
left more in the pictures, but we got spy balloons, people. Spy balloons. Can you guess what this show's about?
Spy balloons.
Spy balloon. Chinese spy balloon, to be exact.
Okay.
One
I'm gonna.
Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah. Yes. One. I'm gonna ask a really stupid question. Mike, have you heard about the Chinese spy balloon recently in the news?
Yeah.
Yeah. We all have. Stephanie has. Yeah.
My brother
Definitely.
got a first-hand look at it.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. He was in South Carolina. That's where he lives. And so he texted me right as, the day that it got shot down.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I'm sitting out here in my backyard and I'm looking up at the spy balloon.
I wish I was him. I would have got that telescopic lens out and got some
Yeah.
pictures. You know, I want to see what our government, our military is seeing on their cameras. I think that'd be
Man,
interesting.
that's actually really cool to have seen that. Kind of jealous about that, actually.
Yeah.
Well, yes, Chinese spy balloon.
Chinese
I
spy
gotta-
balloon.
I got to pull up some notes. You got some notes up there. All right. Want to get into it? Let's go into some details.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Now, as we know, as of this recording today, what is this? February 18th.
19th.
The
It's the 18th for you guys still.
yes, ma'am. The Chinese spy balloon drama mamas all over. Well, for the most part, I'm sure someone will dramatize it a little bit more, play on it. But so, you know, we had the spy balloon. I forgot the day it was originally seen, spotted, radar,
I think it was
whatever
like-
the deal was.
Late January.
Yeah. So originally over Alaska, they picked this thing up. Comes in over Canada. A lot of debate on what to do. Nobody can figure it out. Comes in over Montana. Montana's going to be important. I'll go into that in a minute, Mike.
I think I already know.
Yeah,
Does it have anything to do with Maelstrom?
it does, my friend.
Oh.
It does.
How did I know?
And they let it traverse the remaining portion of the United States.
Yeah.
February 4th, they shoot it down just off the coast of South Carolina. Sound familiar, Stephanie?
It does.
Good. So, yes, Montana. Interesting because this thing stayed over Malmstrom Air Force Base for quite some time.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Now, at the time, I don't know if they were exactly portraying what they thought it was or not. Just unidentified object. But did they know then when it was over Montana? Were they saying it was a Chinese balloon?
Yeah, because when I first heard about it, it was over Montana. And then the day that my brother told me, I didn't even realize it moved all the way to South Carolina.
Your brother?
Yeah.
What happened with your brother?
When he told me that it was up above his house and he was looking at it from his backyard.
Oh, does he live
What?
in Montana?
No, South Carolina. So when my brother told me he was looking at it, I said, I didn't realize that it already moved all the way to South Carolina. I thought it was somewhere still like,
Right. Was he able to see it?
yeah, he was looking right up at it.
I didn't
And I'm like,
know
oh,
about
wow,
it.
it made it all the way over there to the East Coast now. I didn't even
know about it
gone
until
that
then. I didn't even know about it until then.
Oh, really?
Because I heard about it over Montana. And then there was like a day or two where I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't, keep up with it. And then my brother's like, hey, I'm looking up at it over me. And I'm like, oh,
Jesus.
wow.
That's crazy.
It went all the way over there like so quickly.
Yeah.
Like I figured it might have been somewhere like in the Midwest by that point, and it was all East Coast already.
Yeah.
It was quick.
Well, you have a jet stream,
Yeah.
and this thing supposedly had some form of propulsion on it. Although I don't think it was anything. Obviously, it's a big balloon, right?
Yeah.
They can't make this thing fly around 100 miles an hour. But
Yeah, probably like a blimp or something.
Yeah,
Like a little.
as long as there's in an area where the wind isn't that strong, they could probably at least keep it in place, like they did over Malmstrom.
Yeah.
Malmstrom, Stephanie, is important.
Yes.
Because, oh God, I do you remember when Malmstrom happened? What I'm going to?
Man.
I
It was a
believe it
long
was
time ago.
the 60s, if I remember.
I think it was.
Yeah, I was thinking,
Yeah.
I was thinking around that time.
Somewhere around there, when there was in the middle of the night, military personnel at Malmstrom, one of the security officers was outside and saw a UAP directly above one of the portions of the base that housed 10 nuclear missiles, and they have different sections of nuclear missiles there. Each of them, I think, housed about 10 or so, and all 10 of them in this one particular area went offline. So there's nothing they could do. They couldn't launch them. Nothing
I do
like that.
recall that story. Yes.
Yeah. So this was interesting because China allegedly hovered this thing over Malmstrom for quite some time, and it might seem like a big deal. Of course, the government, military says, well, they can't get anything better from that than they can from their own satellites. So, big deal. Which I find interesting because they were in such a rush to shoot down all these other ones, but not this one. This one, confirmed Chinese spy balloon, allegedly.
But let it go over all of North America.
Yes, numerous military bases as well, But these other ones, let's get rid of them real quick. So they shot that down February 4th off the coast of South Carolina. Friday the 10th, another UAP. Well, this one isn't a UAP because the first one they knew what it was, supposedly. A UAP shot down over Alaska. They picked up another one on radar over Alaska. They said it did not appear to be carrying any surveillance equipment. The pilot's descriptions varied, with one of the pilots stating that the object interfered with their sensors. Now, when you say interfering with sensors, with them not knowing what it was or not telling us what it was, people's minds might go to UFOs and flying discs from another planet. However, if you think about police radar guns or LiDAR guns, they kind of know if someone has a radar jammer or a laser jammer on their vehicle because it messes with their readings. So they're pointing the radar gun and you're traveling 55 miles an hour. It's going to read back 55 miles an hour, makes a sound if you start traveling faster or slower, right?
Did they really make a sound?
Yeah. But if you have a jammer on your car to jam those particular devices, they get some type of like funky readout. So they know something's fishy's going on. The jammers are illegal in most states, right? So they're, not a good idea, at least where we live, because they'll pull you over for that. But one of the pilots said it interfered with their sensors, and they both gave varying descriptions. So at this point, you have the Chinese spy balloon. Then less than a week later, we have something else all of a sudden they're seeing. Now we go to the very next day, from Friday the 10th to Saturday the 11th, and boom, there's another unknown object, a UAP, and this time came in through Alaska, I believe, comes over Canada, and they shoot it down over Yukon, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
This was described as a cylindrical object the size of a car. Mike, what do you think of when you hear cylindrical object in a UAP?
You mean like what do I think of the shape of it, or I don't...
What do you think when they tell you there's a UAP, so unidentified?
Yeah.
The shape is cylindrical and it's the size of a car. Well, forget the size. Cylindrical Tic Tac. No?
I was
That's where
trying.
my mind goes.
Well, I was trying to stay away from, the assumption of
you don't stay away from
UFO,
assumption.
like alien type.
What does your mind directly go to? Assumptions aside.
Yeah.
Because we'll get there, of course. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a point behind this, but tell me your mind
Yeah,
doesn't
so,
go
okay,
there.
well, when I hear cylindrical object, the first thing I'm thinking of, okay, well, a cylindrical object is probably not aerodynamic. So the means of propulsion, assuming, how is this thing even staying up in the sky?
Right.
It's probably something alien. That's kind of like what you start thinking,
Right.
Because our aircraft are not cylindrical objects. They have, wings and
Of course.
propellers or rockets or, some sort of a thrust engine, behind it. And when I think cylindrical object, I'm thinking it probably has none of that, because I'm thinking of like a Pepsi can, like a giant Pepsi can's up in the air.
5 million liter Pepsi can
Right.
up there. Well, Stephanie, when you hear that description of this object, cylindrical object with UAP, what did you think, or do you think?
Low-key. Okay, so my brain has a little bit of humor, dark humor to it. First thing I
No.
thought of was a Macy Day Parade balloon.
See, when you say Macy's Day Parade balloon, I think of Trump's head on a balloon. Because I remember seeing
Baby
that.
Trump, yeah. I don't know why, but my brain was like, Campbell's soup, but as a Macy's Day balloon. I don't know why my brain went there. Obviously, that's not it.
See, he goes Pepsi,
it was
you
funny.
go soup. Well,
I like soup.
it's interesting. I mention it for a reason. We'll get there, but that's what it was described as.
I'm with him on the whole,
Yeah.
the shape doesn't fit our known physics of what should be able to fly.
Unless it's a
itself.
balloon.
Yeah, true.
Right. And I mean, that's originally what I was thinking. Is I'm like, okay, so I'm not thinking it's like a solid metal, cylindrical, just floating up there.
Right.
It's got to be an explanation for how it's up there.
Yeah, of course.
They're just
Yeah.
not telling us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that covers the 10th, which I believe was Friday, Saturday the 11th, 2 days in a row. Now we come to the third day in a row, Sunday the 12th. A UAP shot down over Lake Huron, Michigan, right? So this one, I believe, the UAP was connected to a radar signal that was picked up earlier in the day, or maybe the prior day, over Montana again. Okay, on Saturday the 12th. I somehow got my dates mixed up, but the previous day on Saturday over Montana, earlier in the day, they did scramble jets, but they couldn't find it. Okay. NORAD detected it again on Sunday over Wisconsin and Michigan. At that point, they closed the airspace over Lake Michigan. They sent jets out. Again, they didn't find anything. Then it moved out over to Lake Huron, which is on the east side of Michigan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where they shot it down. Just for reference, as a crow flies from the edge of the closest side of Montana to the closest side of Lake Huron is 930 miles as a crow flies. My point in mentioning that for anyone out there, so you can kind of calculate the speed that it traveled within that 24-hour period. I think it's completely possible. But this one was described as octagonal in shape with strings hanging off. So, I don't know about you guys, but my mind immediately went to, again, this is probably another Chinese-made product spying on us because there's strings hanging off, so it's just some type of octagonal balloon they built, and they had previously had some sensors, spy equipment hanging off of it, and, correct me if I'm wrong, one or both of you might know, but I believe on the original Chinese spy balloon, I heard something about there might have been some type of very, very, very minor explosive devices on there so that they could basically either destroy the sensors that are on there so they couldn't be basically caught by us, or at the very minimum, some small explosives to basically detach them from the balloon so they'd fall and just get destroyed hitting the ground. Did you hear that, Stephanie? Something about that?
I did definitely hear something about that. I mean, it makes sense to me as to why someone would do something like that or have something like that. It makes sense.
Of course.
But I haven't heard it to be true or false, so I can't say for certain what it is. But honestly, it makes sense to me to have something like that.
Yeah, I remember something about that on the original spy balloon. So that's where my mind went with this octagonal one. Kind of funny because very shortly after this all happened, obviously China's telling us, "Oh, you guys are funny. You overreacted. Blah 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 blah." And then, like the next day after that, China said that they were tracking an unknown object over their airspace right off the coast, and that they were prepared to do whatever they needed to do to get rid of it. I never heard anything more about it. China was also accusing the U.S. of flying high-altitude balloons over their airspace more than 10 times since January 2022. Newsflash, China. Our satellites have been watching you forever, just like yours have been watching us. I mean,
yeah.
You really want to play the petty, childish game here. Come on. But for the most part, that's it. I didn't hear anything else about what China was claiming was over their airspace, but they were. But some of these things are interesting. A lot of this I bring up for a reason. We have an issue going on in the last 5 or 6 years, right? This whole UAP issue with these actual legit military videos coming out from our fighter jets from back in 2006, I think it was, 2005. The government saying these are real, these are our videos, we don't know what the hell they are. And now we come to 2023. China's got a huge balloon coming over. We let it traverse the entire United States from Alaska down to mid-U.S. and then out to the East Coast. But ultimately, everything that matters, right? We know a lot of our nuclear defenses are in the northern hemisphere of our country. Malmstrom being one of them.
Yeah.
So this thing gets out there and they shoot it down over the ocean, and then immediately, in less than a week, boom, unidentified objects. And they're coming out saying, we don't know what these are. We're tracking more UAPs. So the first thing I start thinking, I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm using common sense, reason as much as I can. And I'm like, well, these are simply interesting because you have octagonal shaped object, cylindrical object. And I'm thinking about these UAP videos from a while back. However, common sense is telling me, well, these are probably Chinese spy balloons, different shaped balloons they're using, and they probably launched a bunch of crap to send over here, right? And that's what I'm thinking. They probably were, right? And I think was a really bad idea of them to come out and start telling us about these other ones directly after the Chinese spy balloon, because there's already a hysteria might be an incorrect word, but there's already something going on in the mind of people in America because of all these UAP videos and possibility of aliens and all this stuff that nobody knows is true or not. And here they are, boom, we're not going to shoot down the Chinese one. Now we have other objects we're starting to see. We don't know what they are, guys. And, it was just kind of weird how they went about doing it. And you would think they wouldn't want to add to what's already going on. But then again, maybe they would.
And then not even give us answers about the final 3.
Correct. Now, I don't know if you've heard Mike or Stephanie. I think we might have talked about it real quick. One of these, was it the second one, the one that was shot down over Alaska, just about 2 days ago or so, I saw an article. A school group had come out and said that they had some type of research balloon out over Alaska about the same altitude. I think it was around 40,000 feet. At the same time, the one over Alaska was shot down, and it went missing around the same time it was shot down. Mm-hmm. They believe it was probably theirs. However, the government's not telling you anything, right? But this group's already, it's a school. They've come out and said, it's probably ours. We're missing it. It went missing right then, Common sense tells you.
Yeah. Well, I do remember reading something about, and I didn't know if this is true or not, but that they said that the other objects were not related to the spy balloon.
Right.
But then I just thought, well, they're just not going to tell us the truth. So,
yeah.
So if there's another, group of school or whatever that is coming forward, possible.
Yeah.
I just figured, I don't really trust what the government tells us. So whatever they tell me, I just kind of like, whatever. Maybe not. I don't really believe what they say.
Right. What about you,
They
Steph?
also supposedly called off the search for the debris for the other 3 since they didn't see anything initially. They're just kind of like, oh, well, we're not going to go look for that. But we're going to get the bottom of the first one. Going to get to the bottom of it for sure.
Right.
And it's like,
it all plays out kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it raises more questions than answers, and that kind of bothers me.
Well, so there's something that happened, which is important for why these other 3 were probably found. And again, Mike, I don't know if you have heard any of this yet, or Stephanie, I think you might have. We might have talked about it real quick. But when this first one was spotted, keep in mind this Chinese spy balloon, they said it was the size of 3 Greyhound buses. That's enormous, right? With all these sensors and stuff hanging off solar panels. What they did is they kind of dumbed down their radar. NORAD did, and what they did was they tweaked their radar. We have a lot of stuff in our atmosphere, okay? Mm-hmm. Groups of party balloons let loose. You got tons of different things, right? They previously had their sensors tweaked, their radars tweaked to only pick up bigger objects, to filter out all these small things, so they're not picking up all the clutter, because there's no need to really even see it. So after this Chinese spy balloon, they tweaked it, and now their radar sensors are picking up the smaller objects, and boom, within a week, back to back, 3 more UAPs are spotted. That kind of tells you why they were spotted. It wasn't anything mysterious. However, they didn't come out and tell us about the whole radar tweaking immediately when they should have. And with this whole UAP issue going on, and who knows what people are thinking out there, do you really want to add to the negativity on this already? But there's another important issue at hand, I think. It seems we're at the brink of a possible world war. we have a general that came out, read an article probably about a month or so ago, a few weeks ago. A general came out and said to be prepared, and he's expecting we will be World War III with China by 2025. Another official has come out since then, a week or two later, stating to expect the worst with China and very soon. Who knows what all that means? But they're even now saying they're expecting we're going to be at World War III with China by 2025. So, number one, the spy balloon is theirs. I don't see an issue with telling the American public that that's what's going on. However, you got to keep in mind this has been going on for decades. We already know that. So why is it such a big deal now? Maybe because the public has actually seen this one. I don't know, but tensions are at a ridiculous high right now with China, Russia. We see that China's backing Russia with this whole Ukraine thing, and they both hate us, right? So do we want to fuel that fire anymore? Because we know what China's going to say. We know what they're going to do when we say, we see their balloon and we're going to shoot it down and just publicize it so broadly. But to add more to that, that's fine. Number one, I want to see facts. I want to see evidence and proof as to how that was Chinese and it was for spying. Number two, you get these three other UAP events that come out day after day after day, three days in a row, about a week after the original balloon, right? Unidentified objects, kind of the same flight paths on some of them, over Alaska, down through Canada, that one that was shot down over the Yukon, right? You have to know that after saying the first one was a Chinese spy balloon, that when you bring these other three out, the American public is going to think they're probably Chinese spy equipment. Do you want to publicize that and put that out there, that they're unknown? I mean, Mike, from these UAP videos, these fighter aircraft we have, the ones that have these camera pods mounted on them, they're pretty badass camera pods, and they can get you a clear picture of stuff miles away. Are you telling me that none of them, even with their own eyeballs flying real close to these things, had any sense that they might have been some type of balloon? Did they really need to come out and publicize these are unidentified right after this Chinese spy balloon? Do we want to fuel that flame, that fire, And that's a bigger issue with me on this whole thing. And it's interesting because we have a huge, and I'm not even going to say Chinese population, we have a huge Asian descent population, any Asian nationality. Some people look at them as all the same, right? Mm-hmm. And we know there's a lot of racial, I don't know why you're laughing, but I want to know why. I don't know why, but I do want to know. But my point is, no, Mike, there's a lot of racial injustice in this country. Okay. And we've seen in the past from different types of events how when the government comes out and says something about a country, let's say like China in this case, we see a lot of hate crimes start happening against people of Chinese descent or any Asian descent. We're already at a huge issue right now between Caucasian and black people in this country. Do we need more? Because that's all this is going to do in my mind, is just fuel the fire for more racism in this country. We don't need that. Mm-mm. But they're calling out the Chinese on this, and we have a huge population in this country. Why? This isn't the Chinese people. This is the Chinese government. Right? So that's what hits me about the whole thing is most of this stuff doesn't need to be publicized like this at all. And if it does, they should be more clear. They should be more specific with things and facts and evidence. And make a point about certain things to avoid the racism and the hatred that could come about because of it, I don't know. What do you think, guys?
No, I mean, I agree. There's enough things that are driving this country apart in so many different ways that, like, to falsely and blindly and quickly accuse a country of, I mean, obviously one, but then more. I agree. It's like, it's not a flame that we need to spark right now, especially considering they can't give us hard evidence as to who it came from.
Right. And they didn't state that the other three had anything to do with China. They didn't state that. But I think the common sense reasoning is going to be, well, the first one was.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the public really believe. Like, I live in a very particular directionally thinking way, and it's just it's there's a lot of distrust in this area of America towards the government, and a lot of them really do believe that all of them are Chinese balloons and are, like, pretty upset that they're only focusing on the first one, because in their mind that they believe it, because, you know, they came out so quickly, like you said, with the other three right afterwards. But so just, like, public assumption, just because there's a huge, like, lack of knowledge on the whole situation that's going through the news. It's not really well covered. So so the public just assumption is that.
What do you think, Mike? You think they should have come out and told us about these other three, knowing full well that they adjusted their sensors to start picking up smaller stuff, and knowing full well that smaller stuff is just probably normal clutter in our atmosphere?
Yeah, they could have held off. I mean, they could filter out the unimportant things. If something is like a national threat, then, come out with it.
Right.
But, if this was in fact, just like a school scientific,
one of the three.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if that's what it is, then they had no business, scaring the public like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, completely unidentified. If you're identifying the first one, Chinese are spying on us.
I mean, they do so many things and they don't tell us anything.
Of course.
Yeah.
So why?
Right.
Why did this? I mean, like, the day it's happening is making national headlines.
They made a bigger. It seems as if they may have made a bigger deal out of some of these unidentified ones than they did the original Chinese balloon.
Yeah.
Octagonal in shape, cylindrical in shape, silverish gray, cylindrical like. Well, that describes some UFO, UAP videos we've seen from the military. What do you? How much more do you want to muddy the waters? And it turns out that these are probably nothing more than just different shaped balloons that are up there. One of them had strings hanging off of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could have been
kind of like the balloon that flew out of over your house today.
Oh man, I was going to bring that up. You guys want to see a video? I got video.
Oh, God,
I'll splice it in maybe. And did you like that?
I did. The commentary was what really sent it over the edge of absolute journalism perfection.
We had, Mike, today, a spy balloon fly directly over our house. I'm going to show you if I have it available right here immediately. I don't. You got to be kidding me.
So, out of curiosity, like, what was that balloon shape? Like, I had watched it multiple times, and I was like, what is this thing?
It was weird. Check this out, Mike.
Yeah.
Let me turn this around so Mike can see it. I'll throw it up. We can all see it. Spy balloon. Well, zoom in on it. Check it out. It's weird looking.
Yeah, I watched it a good handful of times, and I still couldn't figure out what exactly it was.
I was busy. I only saw it with the naked eye and zooming in on it, but yeah, it was interesting. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's odd shaped. I'm going to get video of that. A particular social media site in the area, maybe I'll post that up because people around here have money and nothing better to do. And time.
oh my God. I think I know what app you're talking about. Oh, Jesus. Please take screenshots and send that to me. Yes,
Nextdoor.
please.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love Nextdoor in my area.
Oh, it's amazing.
It is so great. I didn't know I lived around so many old Karens, and they're just like, "Did you hear them shots?" And it's like,
do you have Karens in your area, Mike?
Not really.
You're lucky.
Not that I know.
Oh man. Well,
I mean, I'm sure they're everywhere, but
of course
I don't encounter them.
Once you get the next door app, you'll see that they're all around you.
Had it for years.
Really?
You live in an area. Let me rephrase that. The area I live in has, I think, more older generations living there than where you're at. Yeah. They're mixed in, but you have more younger. Here, there's a lot of older. There's a lot more money, which that money is going to come with the older generations, not these newer ones.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are retired. A lot of them drink a lot, and they just some of the stuff I've seen on Nextdoor here has been ridiculous. And I honestly, I don't even use it that much anymore. But I'd be curious to go on there and see what I know I've seen recently some people joking about the Chinese spy balloon and taking videos just as I did of something and posting it. I haven't watched them because I don't care. But
the neighborhood
in my
drama
area, I
on
never
that
see
app
any
is
of that.
amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd have to use it frequently enough and scroll through. Maybe you'd see more. I don't know how much you use it, but I don't use it much anymore.
I'm on it a couple times a week. I don't know.
Yeah.
But all the posts that I see is, there might be something like, hey, anybody know why there's 10 police cars at the corner of, X, Y, and Z, whatever. Or usually they're just talking about things for sale or it's just normal stuff.
Wow, not here.
Lucky.
Local lucky. Construction. In my area, we have a lot of coyotes. So there's like one particular person that is constantly posting pictures of coyotes in the neighborhood. They're actually really good shots too. I think she's like a professional photographer or something.
See, that's
because they're like really good shots.
Really cool. See, it's
just normal stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't know how normal coyotes are for you guys, but they are not normal here. So that would actually be kind of like an interesting post to see because we don't have coyotes. I'm a little too urbanized. Sure, see, you're lucky you get wildlife. My wildlife consists of birds and squirrels.
Coyotes, unfortunately, in this area, they go around like killing dogs and cats.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That is the downside.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is. But here, tell me if any of this rings true, Stephanie. Here's what we get in my area with coyotes. Keep in mind, I'm about 15, 20 miles from you, Mike.
Yeah,
south. We're right at the hill, so I'm not saying we have more coyotes or not. I don't know because they've traveled down to the coast, but the coyote posts we get on Nextdoor here are more of, and these are older people too. Here's a picture of a coyote traveling across this street at this intersection, heading this direction, southeast. Everyone be on the lookout. Keep your kids close and your dogs in your arms.
That's exactly the type of post we would get. That's exactly the post that we would get. Oh my God.
It's BS. I'm oh my God, get a hobby,
and
people.
But to add to that, just because of the state that I'm in, not only are there posts like that, the comments to those posts are, I would shoot it. A dead coyote's a good coyote. It's just like, damn, you can't just capture and release it. That's pretty terrible. We have so much farmland out here that I don't see anything wrong with doing a capture and release somewhere else, especially since I'm at the border of Michigan and Indiana, just take it up into Michigan, release it. There's so many state game areas up there.
Or catch it and release it on someone else's farmland. That's all there is, right?
It's it's away from, people, and it would actually be a benefit for the farmer because it would eat like rodents. So
yeah. Here's the other Karen post we get. Tell me if this rings true as well. Obviously, it won't for you, Mike, but oh my God, I saw another kid on an e-bike today. I'm going to call the cops. Somebody call the cops. Follow them. Catch them. Here's pictures of them.
What?
And then you have all the commenters.
Wow.
You shouldn't be posting pictures of them. They're like, well, these people. Well, we also have you also have to remember in our particular area, there's a lot of money. Okay. There's a lot of kids that in other areas wouldn't normally be on e-bikes. And we're talking good ones too, like the really expensive ones, not just the crappy ones.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are, my wife was just telling me the other day, she's saw someone on an e-bike, and it was one of the big ones that's been talked about. They were in between like the left lane and the left turn lane, and it was a red light. And I'm like, well, this country, especially this state, has been like bicycle friendly for like a decade now, where they don't care what bicyclists do. They won't even ticket them. And I guess it was a red light, and he's in the lanes of traffic and just saw that nobody was coming from any other direction and just blew the red light. There's a lot of that type of crap going on here. However, there's a lot that isn't. I've seen a lot of kids I've seen on e-bikes around here have actually been riding fairly responsibly. Not all, but a good chunk. But there's a lot that don't too.
I don't even think kids are supposed to be on e-bikes. I think there's like an age limit. I'd have to look it up, but
I have seen
some of these e-bikes go 40, 50, 60 miles an hour.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they treat them like motorcycles.
That's not a thing out here.
Oh, it's a big thing out here.
Oh my God. Yeah, no. Okay, so I'm in Indiana, first off, so that is like not a thing here.
Did you see the spy balloon?
No.
As it passed over Lake Michigan and Huron?
I really had wished I had known about it before my coworker had like freaked out and ran out of the back room like, the Chinese are spying on us. The Chinese are spying on us. And we were like, what in the hell are you railing about?
Spying on us since...
Dude, I didn't, that's what I mean. I didn't know until they shot it down, because I don't really read the news. I'm not going to lie. So, like, for her to bust out of the back room freaking out about the Chinese spying on us, I was like, it's called TikTok. What are you talking about? They've been spying on us.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
You got a big e-bike population down there, right?
But that's, oh my God.
City.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, like, tell me a little bit more about these guys. Like, how expensive are they? Like, are they normally going that fast? Is that even, like, legal to have on the road?
Like, 90% of the e-bikes that you're going to see are just standard Class 2, Class 3 e-bikes that go about 28 miles an hour. But there's like a whole bunch of e-bikes that really don't fall into that category, but they're being sold as just an e-bike. So they'll come in like a locked Class 2 mode, but with instructions to easily unlock them.
Ooh.
And then once you do, they can do these speeds of 40 to 60 miles an hour. So I don't know if it's just California or the whole U.S., but in order to be a legal e-bike, it has to be like a 750-watt motor. But some of these are coming with like 6, 7, 8,000 watt motors.
That's a motorcycle. That's a dangerous little motorcycle.
Yeah, you're basically getting into motorcycle class speeds that can keep up with traffic. And you'll get, people that don't have motorcycle license and they're driving in traffic. I mean, I see it. Well, I don't see it in my day-to-day life, but I see it on YouTube all the time. And
that's terrifying.
These people are cruising around, and they're the ones that's going to screw it up for everybody else that enjoys just, e-bikes.
You guys also have an interesting law out there for motorcyclists that they can, like, zip through the cars.
Oh, lane splitting, yeah.
Yes. That... when I lived
hang on.
out there, that scared the life out of me every time.
You also need to understand how that works. The law behind it, because I used to ride motorcycles, that doesn't apply. That's not a thing that applies to motorcycles. It applies to all vehicles. If the lane of travel is wide enough for two vehicles to fit in it side by side, a car could do that. Our lanes obviously only fit one car. There's usually enough room, typically, depending on the road you're on, for something as small as a motorcycle to go by. Mm-hmm. It is illegal for them to continuously be doing this in and out of cars, basically going over the lane line. Mm-hmm. But to just drive beside another car and pass them, or even drive beside them, is 100% legal. But it's the a-holes that are doing this crap that freaks people out, and it should, because when they get in an accident, and this was a huge issue for me when I was riding. You always hear these motorcyclists always say, the car cut me off, and most of the time it's going to be the car's fault, even though it wasn't. But what was really happening is the motorcyclist was going too fast. The motorcyclist was also splitting lanes, but not legally. They were going around the car in this lane, car in that lane. They're continuously going over the line. And
it's just so
if
scary.
they're going a certain speed, they're so small. If they're going a certain speed faster than all the other cars, you're not going to see them, especially when they're going out of their lane into another lane. They're temporarily, your view of them in a rearview mirror may be blocked by cars in the other lanes. You don't see them coming, yet it's usually going to be your fault, and it's complete BS. So it is legal, but only, you have your car driving here and a motorcycle coming down in the same lane. That's fine. And they're going to not go as fast.
Me. It scared me so many times because like people have obviously Harleys, and Harleys are quite loud, so I'll be just sitting happily chilling at the like stoplight, and then it'll turn green, and all of a sudden it's next to me, and it's just like, and a motorcyclist will just go flying by me, and it's just like, oh god. Like
I like South Park's episodes on Harleys.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, well,
my friend has been quoting that particular episode for a while now.
Yeah, there was one other one from them I liked that was good. It's the one about Prius drivers and how they're smug and how a big cloud of
smugness
rather than smog came over San Francisco, and people were like suffocating all this BS. It was funny as hell.
Oh god,
how'd this go from Chinese spy balloons to e-bikes and
South Park?
Wait, that's another episode. Karen's. That was one. Karen's kind of obscure. Might be a good episode to do to actually look into it, right? Go into detail on it and see like what are the facts, and is it right to be calling people Karens? Because there is a male version. I forget. I don't know the name because nobody Ken's. Ken's
I work in customer service. I know these words.
Yeah,
I work with Gen Zers.
Kens are as abundant as Karens. It's just. I don't know why it gets picked out more, but it's kind of sad because we have a neighbor. Her name's Karen. She's the nicest lady in the world. She's not a Karen, and it's like those people have to deal with that. Like how often do you think she gets? Oh, your name's Karen. Oh, I bet. Blah 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 blah. It's like
probably a lot. I try really hard to give people at work who's like customers who are named or Karen. Like I try really hard to give them the benefit of the doubt. Be like, it's just their real name. They're not actually a Karen.
It is just their real name. But stereotypes are there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's end this one. Thanks for joining us on Obscure Reality tonight. For all you out there, if you got a story of your own, personal story, whatever it is, you remote view, you were taken aboard a spacecraft at the age of 2 and trained to be a space warrior. You've seen Bigfoot, UAPs, UFOs, whatever. You got a personal story of your own, shoot it to us. Email obscuredr1@gmail.com. Put story in the subject, and we'll do some shows on your guys' stories. A lot of people that have had real experiences don't want to put that stuff out there. They don't want to talk to anyone, right?
We'll tell your story for you.
Yeah, people are judgmental. Mm-hmm. We're not. We'll look at it from a common sense approach, of course. I will. I'm assuming Mike will. Stephanie probably will. But everyone has different opinions. But we'll put it out there for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I wonder, can you subscribe more than once from the same account? We could go from 4 to 8 subscribers in no time. Double it. All right. With that, we're out. We'll catch you on the next episode.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.